You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
The heroes are back. Beards talking balls, rapping pink and black. Coming live from the 305, it's official tissue. The Batter Fan, Chris and Dan, weekly rocking with you. We talk Messi, Boosie, Jordy, Lucho, the Fat Four, to Ben Cram, Noah, Ruiz, Fred. What more could you ask for? Tighten up and get ready, listen in on the pod. Solana and X in Espanol, just to even the odds. Breakdowns and gas bagging, join the tribe and just vibe. Free 99, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't hesitate, say what's up, go ahead and come in. No question about it, I'm ready to get hurt again.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Solana, the Herons are back. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Batter Herons podcast. I am your host, Chris Duran, and alongside me is none other than Daniel Solana. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, we have no work tomorrow. Sorry for all of those that are watching us from outside of the United States, or sorry for those that have work tomorrow. But you and I don't have work tomorrow. The weekend is started. Club World Cup is back tomorrow. Inter Miami plays on Saturday. I mean, it literally couldn't be any better.
Yeah, and like Soccer Daddy says here, back to MLS, honest review without money, back to our roots. What's going on to Andres, and what's up to Fabian? Shout out to all of you guys that came into the chat and is hanging out with us. One thing I did want to mention before we go ahead and get started with this preview show, talking a little bit about Inter Miami, I do want to go ahead and bring up and shout out to Mr. Krabs here with the Super Slam. He says, rest in peace, Diogo Jota. And yeah, man, that's one thing I wanted to bring up. Rest in peace to Diogo Jota, and you know, of course, you know, I wish, you know, things like that wouldn't happen, but hopefully his family is you know, going through it together with their loved ones and all the support that they're going to need. I'll be perfectly honest. As far as I'm aware, Diogo Jota, I don't watch too much soccer before 2021, other than like World Cup stuff. So Diogo Jota to me was a good player, right? He had a good FIFA card, if I want to lighten the mood a little bit. But I do know that he did pass away. He had a car accident with his brother. His brother's name is Andre Silva, correct, I believe. And the pictures that are going around are of Diogo Jota with his wife. They just got married recently. Has a couple kids that are very young. Very unfortunate, you know, circumstances. You know, in the blink of an eye, it can all go away. So always appreciate the people closest to you. I mean, do you have anything that you can add on about Diogo Jota, about maybe what you've seen of him or whatnot?
Yeah, he's a great player, a great human being. He was one of the ones that when Portugal won the Nations Cup earlier this year, he kind of pushed Ronaldo to be the one to lift the trophy, even though he wasn't the captain, because he wanted to recreate that moment of when they won the Euro Cup the last time, and he brought up the trophy. So, you know, that's the type of person that he was, you know, always looking out for his teammates, and you know, my condolences to the family, and you know, it sucks, not only him but his brother as well, and another professional soccer player who played in Porto, AC Milan, Sevilla, Eintracht Frankfurt. He was currently playing for Werder Bremen over in Germany. So just a really sad story to kick off the day, right?
It is, and we'll get to some more positive stuff for Inter Miami, but if there's anything that I could say that I think just rings true, you know, throughout life, is appreciate the people closest to you. Always smile, always, you know, give your best foot forward, and because you never know when it could be one's last moment. So just, you know, bear that in mind. I guess that's something that everybody can kind of relate to with their own sort of, you know, things. Soccer Daddy's asking, where is Danny? Danny is off today, okay? And Vice City is saying, good evening, fellas. Hola, guapo Solana. And for sure, you know, it is what it is. And we're going to get through it, guys. But we're going to first talk a little bit about the preview between Inter Miami and CF Montreal. This is going to be our first game back. Like Soccer Daddy mentioned, back to MLS. It's back to regularly scheduled programming. This Saturday, we're going to be playing against CF Montreal. As far as the second half goes, right, Solana, like what are your expectations, just generally speaking, about the second half?
Well, first off, let's start with what I've seen, on social media and through the Inter Miami chats and the message boards. A lot of folks are expecting Inter Miami, because of how well they did in the Club World Cup, to just come out and just demolish the rest of the MLS. And I don't think it's going to be like that. Remember, Inter Miami had a great Club World Cup, but the teams that they play a completely different style than what we're used to in the MLS. In the MLS, we're used to a low block. We're used to teams defending a lot against us and try to get out on the counter. That's what the MLS has tried to do against Inter Miami. So if that's going to happen now in the second half of the season, Chris, Mascherano is going to have to do a little bit of soul searching, a little bit of, educate himself a little bit on his opponents and try to find ways for Inter Miami to attack their opponents and not get into this game where they just pass the ball from one side to the other and nothing ends up happening. They get a turnover and then it's a 3-on-2, against us. And that's how we lost against Minnesota. That's how we saw some goals against LAFC, against Vancouver. And that's really what worries me going into the second half of the season.
It's a weird place to sit in, though, right? Because before the Club World Cup, we weren't playing that great. We were probably at one of our lowest of the points of the season. We get into Club World Cup. We're playing a different sort of style versus a different sort of style, more open. It's not as locked down and more free for a lot of the players, especially the creative ones. And now we're coming back to it. I think it's a good trajectory that we're on. And I feel like because of the success that we had in Club World Cup, that can sort of propel us a little forward to play better throughout the second half of the season. But I guess only time can tell. I mean, the best thing is that we're playing against Montreal, who happens to be one of the worst teams in the league, second to last, just ahead of LA Galaxy.
But like we talked about before the show, they've won 2 of the last 3. They're, kind of streaking a little bit at the moment. But for Inter Miami, Chris, I mean, really the biggest thing in the next month to month and a half is the front office needs to be aggressive in the transfer market. Reinforcements at this point aren't a luxury. They're a necessity. And we saw that at the Club World Cup. We saw every time Mascherano would go and pull somebody, somebody would get injured. We had Benjamin Kremaski playing right back at the end of the Porto game for the last 10, 15 minutes. We need to get deeper. Depth is a big issue right now with this team. They can't rely on the same core to play every 3 or 4 days, especially in the month of July, Chris. We have 7 games in the next, in 28 days. That's basically a game every 4 days. And we really need to see some of these players that are on the bench either step up, or Inter Miami's front office, like I said, needs to be aggressive and go out and get some new guys.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the guys that we got for now, right? The starting 11. First, before I kind of bring up the last 11 that we just had, Hernan Cott is asking, should Suarez and Messi skip this game? And Vice City is adding on to that. Vice City Lucas saying, hopefully we get to see more Obando and Rodriguez now that MLS is back. Now, I was clamoring basically that I think we should just play sort of like the B unit. Do you think that Messi and Suarez should sit, or do you think that a week's rest is good enough and they should just hit the ground running versus Montreal?
It's a tough question, Chris. In the Spanish show, we talked about it on Monday. For those of you that speak Spanish or want to learn Spanish with us at the same time, definitely go check out Garza CF. We had a fantastic show with myself and Chris and Javi on Monday night, where we did kind of talk about this a little bit. We touched on this point. And I said I would love to see a I don't want to call it a B lineup, but I would like to see a lineup with a lot of substitutes. I don't want to see it full force. I would love to see Suarez and Messi get a little bit of rest, maybe come in the second half. Let the young guys start. When we played earlier this season against, I believe it was FC Dallas, and Suarez and Messi didn't start that game. We started, I believe, with Obando, with Tadeo Allende. I think Fafa started on the left wing. we saw a different style of play that day. I don't know what it was, but we saw a different Inter Miami that day. They had 3 early goals. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the 3 points. We ended up just getting a point with the tie against Dallas. But that's what I want to see. I want to see something a little bit different. And if it takes sitting Messi and Suarez down for a game, Inter Miami has the luxury that they have 4 games in hand, right, Chris? They're sitting in 4th place in the Eastern Conference, 4 games in hand. So could they afford to lose Saturday's game? Absolutely. Would the fans be upset? Absolutely. But I think it's time that Mascherano try some of these new players so that we can see over the next couple of weeks if they're going to be able to help us in the second half of the season or not. And so Saturday's game is a perfect opportunity against, like you said, one of the worst teams in the MLS.
Well, it's crazy what you just mentioned right now, right? Like, will people be upset if we lose? Yes. Imagine that sort of turnaround where we did so well in terms of, beating the odds and doing better than expected in the Club World Cup. People are holding Mascherano to a higher stat. Like, okay, great. We did great. Mascherano's great. And then we lose to Montreal, and that might blow up in everybody's faces. I'm going to just bring up the starting 11 of the last team that we had. I believe it was against PSG. And so here, this was the PSG lineup. And so here we have the PSG lineup. I don't see it looking like this. I don't.
Well, Allen's injured. Allen's injured, so he's not going to play. It could be Toto Avila slotting in for him. We know Gonzalo Lujan is hurt. We really don't have another center back there.
I mean, other than maybe
Ian Frey's hurt too.
Sailor.
So you have Sailor and you have Toto Aviles. You're giving Sailor a shot on Saturday? You calling his number?
I mean, is there any other team you'd want to put him against other than Montreal? Like, I think this would be the game. No, I mean, aside from that, we have no other defenders. Busquets is the only one you could think to bring back, and then you put Ben Krem in the middle with Redondo. Maybe you could do something to that effect.
Maybe. Maybe that could work, but we're once we get into it with our guest in a little while from CF Montreal, he's probably going to point out to us that Montreal's number 9, Owusu, is a very fast and physical forward, and that's going to cause trouble if you have 2 guys who are on the slower end in Ryan Sailor and Maxi Falcon playing back there. I would rather see Toto Aviles get the start and see if maybe we can get him to finally mature. I mean, his game against PSG was absolutely brutal. I would love for him to get another chance and see if maybe he can change his fortune a little bit.
Well, what I'm hoping for, honestly, is that we can be able to put Busquets in place of Allen. We can put Ben Krem up in the middle, right, with Redondo, and then Suarez and Messi. Look, if it was up to me, I think it would be best to rest them. In the game against Dallas that you mentioned, where we had essentially the B squad, Obando started, Alfonso started, Fafa Picot started, Ben Krem started as the 10. Aviles and Bright were the center defensive midfielders. Now, Bright isn't going to be playing, but you kind of get the gist of what was going on with that team. So I do feel like there's going to be a heavy rotation just for the simple fact that you got to give some of the veterans a little bit of rest. You're not on that side. You're thinking not much rotation, just a couple changes here and there then.
No. I want a full rotation. I just don't think Mascherano's going to do it, unfortunately. I think he's going to end up putting everything he has. It's going to be Messi and Suarez, Busquets. And somebody mentioned it in the chat. Unfortunately, Inter Miami right now can't really afford making many changes because we have too many injuries to the roster. You mentioned Bright. Yeah. We have Ruiz. Ian Frey is out. Gonzalo Lujan. Noah Allen. Jordi Alba is just coming back from a muscle injury, which we know, he could get hurt again, playing big minutes. Chelo Wigan got hurt. He had a lower back injury. How's he dealing with that? Inter Miami right now is an absolute hospital, and they need to get healthy, and they need to get healthy quick.
Well, Lionel Messi, just so everybody knows, Lionel Messi's in the chat. Shout out to Lionel Messi in the chat. He says Mascherano's playing the full squad. We just got the update right here, guys. Game over.
Get me that. Oh.
Yeah. So let's get to the preview of CF Montreal. You guys know we weren't going to let you off without getting a guest in today, okay? And we're bringing one of the best, and we're bringing in Andy Coronado, and he is from the Ball is Round Montreal. Welcome to the show today, Andy. What's going on, brother?
Que vola, guys. You guys hear me?
Yeah,
You guys hear
sure.
me?
yeah. Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Que vola, guys. How's it going?
It's going.
Chilling, man.
Oh man,
You know,
it's good.
It sucks. We're gonna be celebrating our independence this Saturday. Well, I mean, it's really tomorrow, but essentially 4th of July weekend in Canada. How crazy is that?
Oh man, it's beautiful. I mean, what a better way to celebrate U.S. and Canada, right? Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I always love coming into this show a little bit earlier, hearing you guys banter about Montreal, and especially Chris. He loves beating up on Montreal when they're down. It's a fantastic feeling to just hear it and not be able to say anything and just hear it. It's great. Just love being part of it.
Well, look, it's partially Bryce Duke's fault. If Bryce Duke was playing, I'd have a little bit more positivity to bring to the table, but like he hasn't been playing lately, so I'm kind of bothered by that.
And I had your back, Andy, a little bit. I gave you a little bit of a call out with Owusu out there. So I said, it's that you're gonna have to tell us in a little bit how dangerous Owusu is gonna be against Inter Miami's weak defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, Owusu has been kind of finding his form, and it was thankfully when Giacomo Vrioni was also getting healthy. But just recently, of course, as CF Montreal luck has it, Giacomo Vrioni got hurt in practice. So it is what it is. Yes, I am the tall guy, and I'm Peruvian. So, for those of you that watched me last
time, came storming in.
Didn't they call me the Yao Ming of Peru or something? Yes. They called me the Yao Ming of Peru or something. I don't know what they called it. The show is true. Sorry, guys.
Well, Andy, let me ask you a question. We've been in Club World Cup tournament the past couple week or so. What's been going on in the world of Montreal in the past couple games? What's been going on with you guys? How's it been? Because we noticed you guys are streaking a little bit. You're doing pretty good. How's this time been playing while the Club World Cup has been going on?
Well, look, we've been watching from afar as MLS clubs have been playing there, and we're like, what is happening right now in that world? And we've kind of taken a step back and focused on the MLS and trying to hopefully just take it one game at a time. We had a big slap in the face 2 weeks. I want to say 2 weeks ago, but I think it was only a week ago against FC Cincinnati on a Wednesday night game where they completely dissected us in at Stade Saputo, which is something where I'm sure CF Montreal is hoping to avoid with Inter Miami. I think every hour everybody's checking their phones to see if Lionel Messi is going to make the trip or not, because we do think he is, as he would be against any other team, the X factor that can change a game. He scored a banger against CF Montreal last time. That was with the Sergio Busquets body pick that I haven't seen in a long time, and just a beautiful shot from Lionel Messi. It's just one of those things that CF Montreal is hoping, as Solana was saying, that they line up their B squad. They line up their B squad and give us a shot, because we need it. But at the same time, I know that Inter Miami is having their own issues with, as you mentioned, that in the squad. And like, if you sit Lionel Messi or Suarez, who are you going to line up? Who are you going to put out there? And it just becomes a question. Anyways, there's not about Inter Miami, but yeah, in CF Montreal, that's kind of, to answer your question, is they've been really focusing on hopefully getting at least one, because another loss is literally the end of the season for CF Montreal. That's just where they're at now.
Well, it's go ahead, Solana.
No, I was just going to say, and you mentioned, Andy, the last game where Inter Miami won 4-2, 2 goals by Messi, 2 goals by Suarez. And in that game, Inter Miami's back line, it's going to be completely different to what CF Montreal is going to face this weekend, because they started that day with Ian Frey, Gonzalo Lujan, Noah Allen, Jordi Alba. 3 out of those 4 are injured. Jordi Alba, like I mentioned a little earlier, is coming back from injury. So most likely it's going to be a brand new starting back 4 for Inter Miami. And I'm wondering how that's going to affect CF Montreal, Are they is that going to maybe help them, knowing that Inter Miami is going to have different players there, maybe slower players than what they had that last game?
You know what I would say? I would want to say that it's going to impact them in some way, but the reality is that in the last game, Miami actually lost two defenders. They lost Alba. I forget at what minute. They lost them in the middle of the game. Then they lost. Aviles was also hurt. Yeah, one also Aviles was like limping at halftime. So you're just thinking, whoa, they're losing everybody. We got a shot. But they just forgot about the other end, the offensive. So I would love to say that it's going to impact them in some way, but there's no new players. There's no new players since the last time we played. They still have Dante Sealy, Prince of Wosu, Giacomo Veroni's still out, Hennady Sinchuk, the big project kid that nobody's heard of. You guys have probably never heard of him. I don't know. But Hennady Sinchuk is from Ukraine, and he's a big project for CF Montreal. And they're injured. And as you mentioned, Bryce Duke, he hasn't played in a bit. And I saw him in practice this week. He's a full participant for 2 practices in a row. So hopefully he gets some minutes. But he's no Lionel Messi. He's no savior to this team. So he'll be another shirt to fill in bench, if anything. So I'm sorry if I break any heart, Bryce Duke fan. It's hard out there, but that's just the reality of it.
Just Chris's heart. Just Chris's heart.
Just mine's. As a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that, Andy, because in our last show, we celebrated our 3-year anniversary of the podcast, and in our first episode, thank you, Andy. And in our first episode, we were talking about how at that moment Bryce Duke was our 10, our future. Like, we spoke so highly about him. I'm gonna have to show you the clip. I don't know if I think Danny didn't save it, but it was the fact that we were talking about Bryce Duke so heavily like that. It was kind of crazy. And Dennis Lopez here, Bryce Duke, and he's crying.
That's when I couldn't stand you guys, bro. I couldn't believe that you were saying those things about Bryce Duke. I was offended as a soccer fan to hear my fellow soccer friends say that Bryce Duke was going to be this next Messi type player.
He was a very creative player. Solana, come on. He was a creative player.
Get out.
He was good.
Get out of
All
here.
right,
Look,
so let's.
Andres has it right. Andres here has it right. Chris is obsessed with weird players.
Yes, that is true. That is very true.
But no, I mean, look, the reality is, this is my own opinion. These are not facts, right? Bryce Duke came with a lot of hype during the summer to CF Montreal. I believe now it's going to be 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
He was hyped, yes.
And he was a big hype and pricey with Ariel Lassiter as well. And the truth of the matter is that he was labeled as the replacement for Georgi Mihailovic, who was an excellent number 10 who made the hop to Europe. And they were like, he's going to be the number 10. And so I don't know if that got in his head or what was being said at the club around him or what, but he just seemed to falter. And towards the end of the season, again, having coach Hernan Losada, it was very public that they did not get along. And he actually try to argue with the coach, and the coach was like, "You want to argue? Well, let them go to a bench." So my own theory is that it's very mental for Bryce Duke. It's not that he's not talented. It's not that he doesn't have the skills, the vision, or anything. I mean, he's been out for, I want to say, close to 2-3 months now. It's been a bit that he's been out, but before then, we're talking about him playing every game. So that's
off mentally,
yeah, and it's sometimes that extra pass, man, that he seems to have that vision. He seems to know where he wants to go, but he just doesn't have. He reacts a second too late that lets the defenders read his game. Or I'm really getting into the itsy bitsy of Bryce Duke's game, but it's the stuff that you've seen that you're like, you can see he has the vision, but he's like, okay, found it. All right, gonna kick now, and the defender's like, caught it. So it sucks. You would think at a certain point he gets quicker and almost the flow of the game, but he's had at Stade Saputo, he's had some incredible games. But they're not continuous. Incredible game, terrible game. Incredible game, terrible, incredible, terrible. So it's
very inconsistent.
Yeah, so that's the Bryce Duke that we're getting. And so that's why him being out of injury, not a lot of people are like, can't wait for Bryce Duke to be back. A lot of people are saying, hopefully we need more people in the bench. We need more replacements because we've been rolling with two goalkeepers in the bench for a long time. So,
well, aside from me looking forward to Bryce Duke, what kind of formation and tactic have you guys been running recently?
Yeah, so we've been doing a back four, a mid three, and two and one since Giacomo Vrioni has been out. Um, we've had the wingers kind of play. The midfielders kind of go into wingers. Sometimes go back to midfield. Also, the right back, left back, whenever they're on ball, they'll also go towards the midfield. So I don't want to give you an exact formation that they get stuck on because they don't. They actually are very shifty with it. I don't.
Yeah.
They haven't gone back to a back three since the Laurent Courtois firing, but they have been very shifty within the back four, playing around with the wing back with Luca Petrasso, Dante Sealy, Victor Lotori, and all these players trying to just see what fits best. But it's been interesting to watch because it's a bunch of misfits together.
Yeah, you guys have played.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, you guys have played a lot of close games though this season, except for maybe one or two games that there was a lot of goals. They've actually all been 1-0, 0-0, 1-1, 2-1. So do you know like what you can credit that? I guess that that deficit in your team where they're playing a lot of close games, but they just can't get over the hump and win them.
Yeah, I mean it's been, like I said, it's a bunch of misfits, right? So it's so hard. You get a Dante Sealy giving you 70 minutes of a straight winger play, just fantastic. But see, I'm giving you guys a specific example, but Sealy will get tired, and you need to sub him out when he gets tired. It's obvious that he gets tired. Now, who replaces him? It's not a natural winger. It's somebody that's playing a makeshift wing, and that drops the level of the game. So to answer your question, it's always been that. Those goals, those plays have always come later in the game because of the subs and all that. Now, there's been the one-offs, like you guys probably saw Toronto that came to Stade Saputo and beat CF Montreal 6-0. I was there, and it was a bloodshed. It's sometimes with some of those games where you're like, where are we at? Like, what is it? Kind of asking your question, something like, what are we missing? And I think that MC Cincinnati game that we played is really what showed a lot of us, at least me, it showed me that there's a real lack of talent right now. You're playing a bunch of misfits that don't fit in any particular position, that don't really fit the scheme, but that they're trying to make it work together. And they're also trying to, they're trying to win games. I mean, Marco Donadel is making it happen. We've won 3 games under him, so it's been he's kind of making it happen. But there's also been some flops where got annihilated. So
welcome to parody, baby. Go check out my rant on Gartas CF from Monday night. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, CF Montreal has stuck to its mentality, to its philosophy. Cheap. We do everything cheap. We pick up players for a second chance. We are literally giving a second chance club for players. And you want a Lionel Messi, you want Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you want Olivier Giroud, go watch another club. That's literally what's been. And so every statistic, every chart, every record that you find out there in the internet, CF Montreal will be always at the bottom of the spending list because that's just their philosophy.
So then give me something that we can be able to look at and say, okay, CF Montreal is strong in this, and then maybe some weaknesses on your part, because, I mean, look, Prince Owusu put up 2 goals against Houston Dynamo. I mean, that's good. The attack has been pretty decent so far. So what are some of the strengths and weaknesses?
I think the strength of CF Montreal that has shown so far is that they've been able to bring their game, bring their game to teams, whether it's away or home. They did it in New York, and they did it with New York at Stade Saputo, and they did it with Miami as well. Because if you watch that Miami game, the score, in my opinion, doesn't do it justice, because I do believe in CF Montreal did put up a fight against Inter Miami. Yeah. Did Inter Miami destroy him? 100%.
They did put up a fight.
But they I was at practice the next day after that Inter Miami game. By the way, guys, just a little anecdote. CF Montreal was stuck in the airport until 4 a.m. after that loss at Inter Miami. And so I went to practice, which was at 11 a.m. the next day. Guys, I kid you not, the players looked like they went to Miami and partied. They were so tired in practice. They were like this, they were exhausted.
Don't let them lie to you. That plane wasn't delayed. They just made a stop at Live after the game, and then went to the airplane after. Come on,
11. That's what's up. No, but seriously, like it was just like it's they have always been able to to bring their strength. Is they've always been able to bring their game and not be like, not try to adapt necessarily to the other team. But they've been able to stay in their game, possess the game, bring, attack and be competitive. If that's a strength, I mean, I don't know if that's a strength, but be competitive given the circumstances. Weaknesses, I mean, they've also gotten a lot better in sorry, going back to strength, they've also gotten a lot better as opposed to last year in set pieces. A lot of their goals have come from set pieces or second chance balls, something that we struggled tremendously in 2024. And this season, it's actually become a strength. Their set pieces and their second balls. As far as weaknesses, man, like I said, it's the drop of the level after the subs come in. The lack of pure wingers, pure pure midfielders, defensive midfielders. We just Nathan Saliba just got transferred over to Europe. Okay, Nathan Saliba just got transferred over to Europe, and that's a midfielder that is no longer there, and he was also a defensive midfielder. Now we have to go with Victor Latour. So there's a big lack of that, similar to Miami, not for the same reasons, but yeah, that's a weakness where I think younger teams, faster teams, not like Miami. I don't think Miami's that much faster or that much younger.
No,
but they can exploit CF Montreal's inexperience later on.
We have speed, we just don't use it.
Well, and not only that, but look, I mean, the one thing you guys got going for you, which is set pieces. Sean Callahan's warning everybody, we're terrible against set pieces, and Dennis Lopez saying set pieces. I mean, look, we don't have speed, but we do have players that could stretch the field. Like Tadeo Allende is one of those players that can be able to do that for us. And if Fafa does get any sort of playing time, then he could possibly be able to be a threat, not just in stretching the field on his runs, but because of his speed. It's just, we just don't see him. He would be what we would consider an X factor. Who are X factors on Montreal's roster that we got to look out for?
Oh boy, X factor. So, I mean,
somebody that nobody would expect that you might see making a pretty
Victor Latour. Got you, Victor Latour. He's the one that scored the goal against New York City. Nobody really, including CF Montreal fans, because he came from Scotland last year. Nobody really knows what he could bring to MLS or what to what level and all that. Because again, it's one of those second chances project where he went to Europe and now is coming back first time in MLS. But last game, if he can repeat that kind of performance where he, again, beyond scoring the goals, he was just literally on both ends of the field, just flying and just doing everything right. That's the surprise, the surprise factor where he can really connect, which is something CF Montreal has been missing all season, is connect the defensive end with the attacking, that's the one that's willing to do that dirty work upfield. So yeah, that will be a factor.
Yeah, you were going to say something, Solana? I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't. I was enjoying what Andy was saying because I just got onto the Hard Rock app and I'm trying to make a bet for Saturday's game because you know how much of a degenerate gambler I am. And I know you like to bet too, Chris. So I'm just wondering, Andy, I'm going to put the $3K that I have in my account on Inter Miami. What does Inter Miami need to do to make sure that they win on Saturday?
Not stop and continue. That's the only thing, is like not stop, because like I said, CF Montreal at some point their level drops, and if teams continue coming at you, with their talents, like Lionel Messi can pop up at the 90th minute, that's a sure bet, because CF Montreal's level drop after the subs come in. Of course, if Bryce Duke is in the bench, it's a different story, But just for Chris.
Listen, look, and we're gonna have a little bit of a Bryce Duke, like a 4-minute conversation at the end. But listen, my heart.
Oh, I think it's our time to go. Sorry. I don't want to talk about Bryce Duke.
So let's get to predictions then. Let's get to predictions, Andy, and we'll let our guest start off. Andy, CF Montreal hosts Inter Miami this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What prediction do you think you can be able to give us?
I'll say a tie.
Like what?
Yeah.
What's the score though? I mean, it was 4-2. It was 4-2. So if you predict,
yeah,
like
but we didn't have Bryce
2-2
Duke. We didn't have Bryce Duke, so it's different. Because just, I don't know.
He's going to be on the bench, so it's not going to make a difference anyway.
Oh, he will. It will. It will.
he might come on and there might be a goal.
It won't. No. A tie, I would say 1-1 if it's a tie. Yeah. But I'm just being nice because everybody obviously is going to bet against CF Montreal, and I completely understand it. But
well,
1-1.
look, right here, Kissing Sisters, Dennis Lopez. I actually got the shirt on right now. No winners,
No winners.
losers.
All right.
Kissing Sisters. Sean Callahan is here predicting 2-2. So there's a couple people,
Right.
and there's some of our more informed people in the chat. I mean, Soccer Daddy's here.
Well, Lionel Messi is in the chat, right? He knows. So.
And Lionel Messi, he probably already knows the score. Mr. Krabs saying 3-1 Miami wins. And I mean, Solano, what do you think the score is going to be? Look, Omer is saying 4-2 Montreal, saying you guys are going to get your payback.
I think Inter Miami is going to take it. I think it's going to be 4-1 on Inter Miami, especially if they go with a full squad. If they go with a full squad, I see Messi scoring. I see Suarez scoring, possibly Tadeo Allende getting one in the back of the net. And we'll see what happens. But if they go with a more reserved lineup, then I still would give it to Inter Miami, but maybe in a 2-1 or a 3-2 game. Hopefully Obando could get in the back of the net. Maybe Baltasar Rodriguez gets in there. But, you know, like Amanda says, we can't keep a clean sheet. So definitely you're going to get to see a Montreal goal. You're going to get to see some blue and black smoke at the stadium. And
the bell.
And get to hear the bell. That's right.
That's a really cool celebration. Yes. I was going to go with the same prediction with Amanda, 3-1. And Rubita saying 3-1 if we play the bench. Dennis Lopez is saying 1-1, kissy face. Stancy's saying 1-0 Miami. I have a question though, like, and Solana, it sucks to be able to say we have to predict the blank one because we're never getting clean sheet. Like, that kind of sucks, right?
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. It's not because of Ustari's fault. I'll tell you that. It's definitely because we lack the defenders to play a strong defensive line, and we have too many mistakes in games. And also sometimes we play a very high line and we give away 2-on-1 fast breaks to the other team, counters, and that's how we've seen a lot of teams score. I remember the Montreal game. If I remember correctly, I think the second goal towards the end of the match in like the 93rd minute was one of those breakaways where Inter Miami was way up and you guys got through and were able to get a goal. So unfortunately, that plays against Inter Miami. And does it suck to say that? Absolutely. But, dude, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many goals you give up. If you make more than the other team and you come away with the 3 points, that's all that matters, and your fans are going to be happy.
I just think I also have to add, I mean, when you think about the pressure that both teams are facing right now, I think CF Montreal is facing a pressure from, you know, their people, their fan, you know, their people that root for this team. They're just like, if they lose against Inter Miami, people are just going to say, okay, well, the season's over. But they're not going to give up on this team. They're going to say, we'll just keep, because Montrealers love being negative and love being pessimistic. And so they'll cherish in the misery because that's what they do. They've done it year after year. But as for Miami, I can't even imagine what it would mean to be a tie, and especially coming off a competition after they lost 4-0 against Paris Saint-Germain. And it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. And I can only imagine that, as you guys said, there's very little to no depth in that team, and it's just, I can't imagine what a tie.
It's gonna be weird, Andy. It's gonna be weird.
Yeah,
it's gonna be weird for sure.
Last time I came, right, Chris? I asked you guys last time I came here. I was like, "Is it over? Like, if they lose against CF Montreal?" I asked you this. What was it in May when we played? And today. Yes. I'm not going to ask you the same thing. I don't think it's going to be over. I think they were competitive in the FIFA Club World Cup. So, but Solana, what do you think? Do you think for Mascherano, if they lose against CF Montreal?
No, absolutely not. I think he secured his job through the end of the year with getting by in the group stage of the Club World Cup. Not to say that he did a great job. I don't think he's done a great job when you look at his overall body of work this year. But I think he did enough. Or let's put it this way, the players did enough to save him his job by getting by in the Club World Cup.
That's it right there.
And that's really what most of the coaches in the MLS are depending on, because I don't see a lot of these cerebral coaches in the MLS. Maybe you have a Wilfred Nancy, who's a great coach. I thought Tata Martino was a good coach for the MLS. A lot of people didn't like him last year, and clearly the front office didn't. So there aren't a lot of these great coaches in the MLS either. So a lot of these coaches are hinging on the fact if their players perform week after week or not. And even in some cases, like in the case of the LA Galaxy, they renewed their coach even after he started the season without 14 losses in a row, or 14 games without winning. So, I mean, that goes to show you. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. So, no, I don't think Mascherano will get fired this season. I think he's secured his position through the end of the year, unless something crazy happens where they lose maybe 3 or 4 games in a row, 3 or 4.
They lose to CF Montreal.
Yeah, but even if they lose to CF Montreal, I don't think it's a big deal. Inter Miami has 4 games in hand. They're sitting 4th in the Eastern Conference. There's plenty of games left to play. Plus, I think for them, the next real focus is going to be the Leagues Cup. There's $2 million worth of prize money in there. I know a lot of people don't like the Leagues Cup, but I think they're going to focus heavily on the Leagues Cup.
I want to mention something before we go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
No, I mean, like you said, I know, a lot of people hate the Leagues Cup, but to me, it's the same thing, right? It's like for CF Montreal, it's just another, I guess, a preseason game, a game to kind of just like play and try out new things, try out new pieces, and if we lose, well, we lose. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like,
but isn't it at least cooler this year that you're not going to play any other MLS teams, and that you're basically going to play against only Mexican teams? So it makes it a little bit cooler because you don't have to face the same competition that you see week in and week out. So, like, for example, Montreal plays León, Toluca, and Puebla, 3 great matches that the fans can attend and see some great international soccer.
You know what? It is cool, but not on the field. And I'll tell you why. Because when they play at Stade Saputo and the Mexican team, and this has happened not just these past 2 years since Leagues Cup, it's happened since years and years, since they were the Montreal Impact. When Mexican teams came to Montreal to play, the stadium, the Olympic Stadium or Stade Saputo, was a festival, was a party, like what it is at Inter Miami when Lionel Messi first joined. I don't think it's the same thing now, but when they first joined, it was a party, and it was just mariachis and Canadians and Montrealers love that. So that part is going to be super cool. As for the field, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, hopefully they bring in a good game, they play a good game, and they're competitive, as I mentioned earlier, right? But yeah, besides that, that's pretty much all there is to it. And I know that for Miami, there's the pressure of always winning every single trophy they have the opportunity to get. So I can only imagine how they're viewing the Leagues Cup.
Absolutely.
Well, and I just want to mention something, because I do see, before we head out, I just want to go from Mascherano out, from Sean Callahan to, and I think Andy's going to appreciate this since he's from Miami as well, Dennis Lopez with the Miami Mascherano super out.
Saputo.
Super out.
Are we going to get a chance to John Stone, Andy, or what? Because I'm sure you've asked Andy about the sandwich question. I'm sure you've asked him the NSYNC Backstreet Boys question, but he's never been John Stoned.
You know what? I don't think we've asked him the John Stone question.
No, you haven't.
I forgot.
Oh man,
we haven't.
I got that question,
Go ahead.
man. So it's basically, what's one movie that you've never seen that you'd be embarrassed for people to know?
That I've never seen.
Yeah.
God, Lee, you get me like that. Kill Bill. Yeah.
Oh.
You never seen Kill Bill?
No.
Oh,
no.
Wow,
Kill
okay.
Bill, and the other one that's a Christmas classic. I forgot the name. Christmas classic.
Die Hard?
No,
Die Hard. Never seen Die Hard.
What?
Yeah, that's even worse.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, my wife reminds me every time.
Oh,
I haven't seen that.
Gosh! Wow! Oh,
I mean,
two
you have
good
to
movies,
watch.
man.
Yeah.
You gotta watch. Is it a Christmas movie though?
I'm pretty sure it is. I know in Miami, Christmas feels like the same the rest of the year. But yeah,
Yeah.
Here it's a classic.
Well, there's a couple people that have questions that they threw them in the chat. And for any of you still wanted to get a question out there to Andy, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Circus Fun just randomly asking, how much is gas?
Gas? Well, we do it by liter here. We don't do it the same way as the United States.
Oh, that's right. They do it by liter, not by gallon.
Yeah. So it's 1.50. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. It's not cheap in Canadian dollars. CAD. So it's not cheap.
And I'll tell you, Andres Sasaki is saying, we'll be in Montreal in late July and would love to go to a game. Is it fun there?
Andres and anybody that's ever planning on coming to Montreal, including you guys, Chris, Alana, if you guys ever plan to come to watch a game, in my personal opinion, I've been to NFL stadiums. I've been to the Hard Rock Stadium. I've been to all these stadiums.
Yeah.
Stade Saputo is spectacular. It's not a big stadium.
It looks beautiful.
And you feel so close to the field. You feel you know it's very family like, and it's a very, very special feeling because it's almost like it's not close to downtown. It's like 15 minutes away from downtown, but it's almost hidden. But
you can take the train, Chris.
The metro,
yeah. Yeah, you take the metro. It's super easy.
Yeah.
I've been.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And Solana, I'm sure, I don't know what your experience was like, but it fits 19,000. But when they're winning, when they're having a good game, it really is. It's special. Like the sound feels like it's 60,000. But anyways, that's me. I was impressed because, like I said, I've been to NFL stadiums. I've been to NCAA stadiums here, and sorry, in Miami. And yeah, they're impressive as well. There's something else. But when you're in Stade Saputo, you fall in love with the team. You fall in love with the environment, and you can understand why people want to go back. And the tickets are not too expensive. To be honest, they're not.
They're expensive here.
Are they? I've heard they've gotten cheaper.
Yes,
I've heard they've gotten cheaper.
No, they've gotten cheaper. They've definitely gotten cheaper, but they're still kind of expensive.
I mean, they're cheap if you're a single guy and you're trying to go by yourself to the game, but you have a family of 4 and you're spending $45 a ticket. You're at $180 right there. Then you got to, my
plus
son
parking.
Plus parking, which is $40. Then my son's gonna want a churro. He's gonna want some food and a drink.
Sure.
You're
That's like
spending $400 or $500. Yeah, you end up spending $400 or $500.
For sure. I mean, Stade Saputo is no cheaper for that. I'm not gonna lie to you. But it's CAD if it helps you guys in any way.
No, but the food there is a lot better than what you get at Chase Stadium. I'll tell you that. The food in Montreal. No. Yeah.
What do you guys?
Well, I mean, if you go to the food trucks, I think if you go to the food trucks here,
but
those are
fried
good.
food. It's all fried food.
But do you get Latino? Do you get Latino food? Do you get Latino food?
Yeah. They have like an Argentinian truck. They have a Mexican truck.
What are we even talking about, man? We get hot dogs and burgers. Like,
I'm not a fan of food trucks. I was talking.
I'm out with Solana, man. What the hell are we talking about right now?
I was talking about the food in general in Montreal. The food in general.
Okay.
Montreal,
yeah,
fantastic.
1,000%. Yeah. I thought you talked about the stadium.
Dennis Lopez is saying, I'm definitely contemplating leaving for Canada. Listen, guys, Andy used to live down here in South Florida. So if there's anybody that can tell you that it's nice in Canada, it's Andy.
100%, man. I left Miami in 2012 now. I don't know how long that's been already. As you guys can see, lost my Miami accent. I don't talk like you boys anymore, but yeah, no, Montreal is beautiful. Miami's still home. I've told you, Chris, in last pod, Miami will always be home, but Montreal is a beautiful city. Canada is a beautiful country. They have their own problems, just like the U.S. does, but it's a beautiful. Definitely hit me up if you guys ever wanna visit Montreal. I'll be more than happy to show you around. And show you some of that poutine and all that around here. Yeah.
You want the Super Miami test, Andy? The Super Miami test is how you say the word salmon.
Salmon?
Yeah.
The
salmon.
fish.
Salmon. Well, that's how I used to say it. Salmon. Yeah. Salmon. Yeah.
All right, Andy, let everybody know where they could be able to find you and all of your good stuff.
For sure. Thanks, man. So yeah, you guys can find me on Blue Sky, on X, Andy's Take 88. Every Sunday night we do with Elias Gregoriadis our podcast, The Ball Is Round Live, where we talk about CF Montreal, Roses FC, which is the new women's professional soccer team in the NASL. And we talk about Canada men's national team, Canada women's national team, a little bit of everything. And yeah, it's super fun. So make sure to you guys join us there if ever you want to learn a little bit more about Canada and CF Montreal. And if you guys ever want to trash us on the Inter Miami game, bet you guys want to. You guys are more than welcome. We will accept it. So come by.
Solana, any last words before we head out?
No, I was going to rant again about Don Garber because I'm still pissed off, but I'm going to keep that for another day. It's been awesome with Andy. It's been awesome with the chat. Thank you again for having me on. And can't wait to see what happens on Saturday. If they win, I'll make sure I tweet Andy.
Yes. And guys, just want to say one last thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Toronto lost tonight, and that makes me happy. Okay. Yes. It's the equivalent. If you guys want to know what that feeling is the equivalent of having the New York Jets lose, even when the Miami Dolphins are losing. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Well,
Chris doesn't, but I know what you're saying.
I do know what you're saying, and I'm pretty sure Danny right now is rolling in his in his couch right now.
Or the Patriots just get
No. You were right. The Jets.
When you see the Jets lose, you're just
Jets
like,
the Jets.
We're 1-15. I don't give a because they lost. I'm good. You know? So that's how it feels when TFC loses. Anyways, just wanted to have that.
Well, Andy, much appreciated for coming on. Thank you so much for joining us for the Montreal preview. And Solana, like always, it was an awesome time. And we got to do this more often. Everybody that's listening on audio, thank you guys so much for listening on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever you're doing in terms of audio. Put 5 stars and comment Jets suck. Put that on the comments. And for those of you listening on YouTube live in the chat, you guys in the chat are the best. Saga Daddy's gonna go hate watch right now. Good night to One World, One Goal. And guys, you guys are the best part of the show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Like, subscribe if you haven't done it. And until the next one, have a good one, guys.
See ya.